says Zeringer, isn't it, Sharon? You've been up a creek without a paddle? That was a really terrible joke. You know, I kind of like vision, and this is nothing. Okay, this is just nothing, really. What Jim did, first of all, he came into it came into the Department of Natural Resources, and nobody wanted to change anything. Everybody's living in their own little area, and that's where they want to live, and any effort to try to change it is like fought off. Why do you think this hasn't happened before? Because people were squawking. They get out of their little silos and go over and yell at the director or whoever's in charge, and nothing gets done. For the public, who's, you know, they're all here because it's a park. Parks are great. You'll get people who want to watch, so run the cameras. But there's some things here that really are significant. People are fed up with the government. It's like they can't even get out of their own way. And yet, here's what Zeringer did. He took his recycling program that was located in the Department of Natural Resources, and he moved it to EPA. So that's a smart thing to do. He took his ag pollution abatement, which was located in the Department of Natural Resources. So the ag pollution abatement was in DNR and not in agriculture. So we had this brilliant idea. Why don't we just put it in agriculture? Because they kind of run it, right? And then he took the law enforcement from 5 divisions down to 2 divisions. Now, I don't know how we ever had 5. I don't know what the other ones were, but he did a great job here in taking it down to 2. This is not like an earthquake. This is like common sense to people. Now, here's the beauty of it. First of all, and I think it's been pointed out, you save some money by doing this. That's number one. But there's another thing here that I think matters. Now think about this. This reminds me of back when I was on the Defense Committee, and we had Navy ships, but the Marines couldn't talk to the ships. So here we had a situation where we had law enforcement that was involved on the water and other law enforcement that was involved on the land. But never the two shall meet. I mean, how ridiculous is that? I mean, how can you have a situation where you have all these security people, but they don't work together? So now the guys on land are going to learn how to swim. Or they know how to swim already, Jim? Do they? Yeah. So no, they're going to work together. And why does that matter? Well, we just had a terrible situation that happened in one of our parks with these gangs fighting. The more security people working together, the better off. I said to Jim, we have these big events in Ohio. We ought to have patrol there. We ought to staff this thing up. We can't be screwing around with this stuff. But by bringing these two together, and they're going to learn each other's protocols and each other's operations, the public will be safer. So, folks, we actually are saving money. We're going to put more money into things that people want, like clean bathrooms, which we're already doing. And at the same time, the public's going to be safer. Now, here's my question. Why did this happen in 2016, and why didn't this happen in 2000? I mean, what holds this stuff back? I'll tell you what. Fear. Politics. Right, Jim? Disruption. People don't want it. We have to convince people in our state that we are in the 21st century. Now, Dave, I appreciate what you said, and I appreciate the fact that Al's here and Andy came here. We have got to get farther ahead with the operations of our government than we currently are. We've done some dramatic things, and I feel good about them. Jobs Ohio. Fantastic. We're up almost 420,000 jobs. What happened in the process? We got the living daylights beat out of us because we decided to create this no government entity. It's worked pretty well. We're up 420,000 jobs. Jobs Ohio, along with what we've done in the state, has created an environment where we're in the top 10 on everything. We used to be in the last 10. Now we're in the top 10. Places to live, cost of living, economic strength, a place to locate your business. That was a good thing, that Jobs Ohio. Great thing. Just have to keep working on it, making sure they do their job. Bonding against the turnpikes. I mean, my goodness, when I said we ought to figure out what we're going to do with this turnpike, people went nuts. They wrote editorials. This is the end of Kasich. Then after it works out and we have $1 billion extra to fix our roads, then everybody says it was my idea. Not my idea, their idea, which was great, okay? You want people to take your ideas. Look what a difference it's made in Ohio by thinking differently, by thinking dramatically different. Now we're going to figure out whether we need all these departments, whether some of them need to be put together. I mean, we don't know yet, we're working on it. But I've instructed the cabinet to bring in people who have no knowledge of their activities, so we can get fresh eyes on a better way to sell a car, Troy. Better, new eyes, eyes, because you know what, a lot of times when you talk to people that are smart, have common sense, listen to this lady here with this canoe business, okay? She should be consulted on this stuff. I mean, she's for her business and everything else, but she has a lot of ideas. She ought to be listened to. Now, she knows about this stuff, but there ought to be other people that we can bring in and say, hey, take a look. How do you think we're doing things here? Does this make sense? That's what we need to do throughout the government of the state of Ohio and throughout the government of the United States of America. Everything is changing at the speed of light. Everything, except the government and the schools. They're stuck in, 100 years ago. So we have to continue to figure this out. Now, I don't know that much about paperwork or all these other stuff, but why don't we just get rid of paperwork? You don't, why do you do paperwork anymore in the Department of Natural Resources? Why don't we just get everything online, put it in the cloud, think differently? And that's what I'm asking my cabinet to do. It's what I'm going to ask the members of the legislature to do. The problem gets to be of the special interests who always fight back. And they say, you can't shrink from 5 law enforcement down to 2. And you can't, by the way, no way you can take water and land officials and put them and train them together. That's just not right. What is right? And Jim gets it, and I think this department still has a long way to go in terms of the kind of reform that we'd like to get done. The other thing is, Jim, I want to make sure that in all of our park entrances, all of our bathrooms, all of our lodges and cabins, I want to continue to lead the war and lead the war in the battle against drugs. We need to post in everything, our website, everywhere else, all across this government. We need to tell them about Start Talking. We need to give them some simple ways in which they can tell people to stay off drugs, because this whole drug problem is killing us. And people love to go to the parks, and they love to bring their kids, and they love to have fun. They walk in that cabin, and there's Start Talking. Tell your kids not to do drugs. I was just looking out here at the boating. A lot of kids out here getting on boats. Boating safety, important, isn't it? You folks know how important it is. Things that we need to do to make sure that people understand boating safety, anti-drugs. We can use the parks as a way to transmit this message if we could think about it. So, Jim, you're to be commended. He's run the Department of Agriculture, he's running the Department of Natural Resources. We still have things to do, and he's looking for them every single day, and I appreciate the legislators that are here and the public. If you see something that drives you crazy, call me. I'm easy to get a hold of, okay? No, I'm serious. Send us an email, call the governor's office. We have our people aware. You've got an idea. Look, here's what I do when I go to the parks. This drives me crazy. Can you fix it? Let's look at it, huh? Let's think about other ways in which we can make the public happy. And but everybody is to be commended for the steps that we've taken, but we've got a long way to go to get things done, to really begin to take